The AI boom is affecting everything, and NVIDIA, they're the ones holding the big bubble wand. And what did gamers get? Fake resolution and fake frames. Great. But slowly but surely, NVIDIA has been turning their DLSS upscaling and frame generation into legitimately useful technologies. And with DLSS 4.5, the GeForce team seems confident that they can turn me into a believer. Seems like a bit of a long shot. So what do they got? Well, for starters, they claim that their upscaling is dramatically improved. I'm talking better sharpness, better handling of lighting effects, and even better HDR lighting, all with barely any performance overhead. Okay, that's a pretty good start. And on top of that, 6x frame gen? Okay, was anybody asking for that? No, but I also wasn't asking for dynamic frame gen, which low-key might be the coolest thing NVIDIA has shown me in years. It is literally a feature that they built to minimize the use of frame gen, opting instead for real frames wherever possible and using frame gen only to fill in the gaps where it's needed. Holy crap, if that doesn't suck, I might turn on frame gen. Finally, NVIDIA is launching G-Sync Pulsar, a technology they first showed me 2 years ago that boosts motion clarity on IPS monitors in a way that they claim makes them equivalent to 1000 Hz refresh rate clarity. I don't really have a point of reference for that since I've never seen a 1000 Hz monitor yet. But what I have seen is the segue to our sponsor.
Delete Me. Stop data brokers from finding and selling your personal information. Delete Me scrubs your data from hundreds of sites so you can take back control. Save 20% on consumer plans at joindeleteme.com/LTT20 and use code LTT20 at checkout.
The first big new feature of DLSS 4.5 is NVIDIA's second generation transformer AI model. And while it sounds like just an incremental improvement over the transformer model that they debuted with DLSS 4, apparently it was trained using 5 times the compute of the previous model, resulting in image quality that is more like a full generational leap forward and much closer to what NVIDIA calls ground truth. But I'll be the judge of that, and I can do so simply by pressing this hotkey and switching between the two models. Wow, immediately. Boy, is that ever a lot sharper. Which is not necessarily a good thing, but to their credit, this does not look like just a sharpening filter. I can find spots where it might feel a little overdone, like maybe in some of this wood grain, but I can also find spots where, good Lord, is it ever better. Like, look at this foliage here. Holy crap. My first thought was maybe the difference was so stark because we were also seeing the improvements to frame gen. So we went ahead and turned it off, and no, it's just that much better. You'd never have known it before with all the boiling and artifacting, but NVIDIA's models are trained on reference images that are rendered at much, much higher quality than a typical real-time TAA game frame. And they have shown in the past that in certain situations, DLSS is capable of outputting better than native image quality, but I don't think I've ever seen that in anything resembling a real-world gaming scenario. Now, there is some performance overhead for this, about 2 to 3%, so the native rendering will actually be at a bit of a lower frame rate. But NVIDIA is so confident in the image quality of this new model that they figured I could turn it all the way down to performance to juice up my frame rates and still get very solid image quality. So naturally, I will be trying that. Before, after, before, after. Wait, roll for a second. This one was already set to performance. Are you kidding me right now? Hold on a second, it gets better? Okay, let's go up to quality. I would say the biggest difference here is that the older model is not as bad at performance. The newer one still looks a lot better. Oh, it's not just, okay, hold on. Okay, yeah, the before and after isn't nearly as stark in terms of the boiling effect, but there are still some big differences. I mean, oh man, look at these particle effects. Old, you can kind of see them around our character here. New, now they pop. And in other parts of the scene, they basically go from disappearing to existing. And this is a big one. I don't know if you're gonna be able to catch this on camera, but look at the comet trails behind all these leaves. It reminds me of my Windows 95 mouse pointer. I switch over to the new model and they're still there a little bit, but it is way better. So what's the downside? At the moment, kind of hard to find one. The performance is going to depend on the speed of your GPU's neural processor, but NVIDIA is allowing DLSS 4.5 to be enabled on any RTX GPU. So it's at the point now where even if you hate DLSS, you should probably at least try it in your favorite games before you dismiss it outright. And you can do so almost immediately, starting tomorrow. This new transformer model will be able to be forced on via the NVIDIA app in the over 400 games that now support DLSS, with in-game menu integration trickling out over the coming months. Now for the bad news. DLSS 4.5 also includes new frame generation features that, in this case, are exclusive to 50 series. I know, but I mean, come on. Does anyone even want 5x and 6x frame gen? That is up to 5 generated fake frames for every single natively rendered frame. I am gonna need to try this. There's definitely artifacts. Around hard edges, you get a little bit of that almost like heat distortion ripple effect, and not all the lighting looks quite right. Bit of weirdness in the aliasing. But to their credit, it looks pretty darn good. Of course, this is like an ideal scenario at a slow-moving idle camera here. There's no way they're gonna let me move the character. Oh, I can just move the character? I can move the character. I'm gonna move the character. All right. 6x frame gen. It's pretty good. What the hell? One of the big improvements is that without needing any developer input, they can account for UI elements much better. So you can actually see the odd little bit of weirdness. Like you can see there's like a bit of yellow behind this, like the leaves when I'm too close to it, but not much. Like look at that, it's almost translucent. You know what, I think that might have even just been my eyes playing tricks on me, because there's a little bit of yellow light cast here, and I thought it was grabbing something else. No, the translucency of the HUD elements is really good. I can still make it do kind of funky stuff on my compass when I rapidly change direction. So the dial has to go the other way. But I gotta really look for it. Even if they can fix the image quality though, one of the big concerns with multi-frame gen is latency. And NVIDIA's own marketing acknowledges an increase of 5 to 7 milliseconds between 4x frame gen and 6x frame gen in Black Myth Wukong. So that's on top of the latency increase that you've already got. Which raises the question of, but why though? Well, as it turns out, multi-frame gen was just a stepping stone to dynamic frame gen, which legitimately sounds super cool. I mean, the paradox around frame gen has always been that if you want the best frame gen experience, you need a pretty solid base frame rate. And if you have a solid base frame rate, why would you accept the trade-offs in image quality and perceived responsiveness that you get for activating frame gen? The solution? Only generate frames when you need them. I mean, we've all been there. You've got the GPU chutzpah to match your monitor's 240 Hz refresh rate while you're looking at your feet in a hallway. But then, an opponent shows up. And all of a sudden, they're firing particle weapons at you and everything's flying around and... Well, dynamic frame gen is designed to step in and keep your FPS locked to your display's refresh rate to reduce unsavory stutters. Let's go try it. They didn't have a demo that was quite what we wanted, so we played around with the settings on this one. We're playing The Outer Worlds 2 on an RTX 5060 Ti, and you can see here that we've got it set so that when we're in a more confined space and we don't have a whole bunch of wild stuff going on, we're running at 1x, which is to say no frame gen. But as we go out into more demanding environments, you can see our frame gen will pick up and fill in any of the blanks. So that allows us to hit 1440p 120 FPS, which matches what we've set our monitor to.
Linus, can you tell it all when it's turning on or off?
It's exactly what I'm trying to figure out right now. Okay, here, let's teamwork this. I suspect that right now it is not.
It is on.
It's on. Damn. Okay, it's definitely off now.
Yes.
Okay. Did it just transition? I think it just transitioned. I think it's off.
It never turned on.
Really?
Yeah, as far as this thing's reporting.
Okay. This right here is the reason for existing that this technology was looking for. Like, I'll be the first to poo-poo a fake frame. But if the question becomes, would you rather a dropped frame? Well, now you got my attention. I drop anything but frames. So then, how should it be configured? Well, NVIDIA will allow you to target whatever frame rate you want, but what they recommend is locking your frame rate to your monitor's refresh rate. See, with native rendering, there can be a benefit to outputting more frames than your monitor can display. It can lower your latency, but FrameGen is not gonna lower your latency. And by locking to your monitor refresh rate, you can also reduce the odds of looking at a generated frame when you could have been looking at a real one. By the way, since we're here at CES, I asked the folks about Reflex 2 and new GPUs, to which NVIDIA replied, your mom. Sorry, it was mum's the word, which is equally unhelpful, but at least more respectful. Oh, what they do have though is G-Sync Pulsar. That's in a different room though. In front of me are two identical systems. One with Pulsar disabled, so this is the traditional way where we see the blurring that is caused by pixel transitions, and the second with their backlight strobing, which has the increased clarity that you would expect from a strobing display. I wasn't supposed to get into the impressions part right away. There was a little scripted thing that I wanted to do, but wow. To your credit, it doesn't kill the brightness the way that previous strobing techs have. That's pretty cool. But how does it work? Well, as I alluded to before, LCD displays don't have the near instantaneous pixel response times that OLEDs do. And one trick that you can use to reduce blur and to improve motion clarity is to strobe the backlight, effectively not lighting up the pixel during that transition period. But if you want to have variable refresh rate, which improves perceived animation smoothness, then the flicker of doing this can get very distracting, especially at lower FPS. So, Pulsar-equipped displays have numerous horizontal backlight sections that pulse consecutively from top to bottom, almost like how a CRT would create an image on screen by drawing lines super quickly. The benefit of this is that, unlike the old way, where they would scan out and then strobe the entire display, meaning that the top pixels were actually displayed for longer than the bottom ones, this allows all pixels to be strobed for the same amount of time. They also, apparently, you strobe them 4 times per change? 4 times per change, which is supposed to give you, theoretically, 4 times the motion clarity, which would be equivalent to 1,000 hertz. Again, I can't speak to that. Never tried a 1,000 hertz display. But what I can say is, yeah, the motion clarity looks great. The only question is, why? OLED displays do exist. You guys know that, right? Well, yes, they do, but the way of implementing this kind of strobing on OLED is black frame insertion, which can be pretty distracting. And I gotta say, to NVIDIA's credit, this doesn't have the same kind of dim, flickery feel to my eyes that previous ULMB and black frame insertion solutions have had. It's, yeah, pretty damn impressive. Finally, NVIDIA also added a light sensor that will automatically adjust brightness and or color temperature of your display depending on your room's surrounding, which is, that's cool, I guess. And then this is the part where I was supposed to try the demo, but I already did, and it's pretty cool. It's going to be available on select monitors from AOC, ASUS, MSI, and Acer starting in just a couple of days, which is on the 7th, which is a couple of days after this segue to our sponsor.
Delete Me. Most people don't even realize that data brokers are legally allowed to collect and sell your most private information. Things like home addresses, phone numbers, and even names of our loved ones. And anyone with a credit card can buy this information, which obviously increases the risk of things like identity theft or being targeted by phishing scams. Trust me, bro, you don't want to be the victim of a phishing scam. We're all too aware of that. Delete Me wants to help protect your privacy, though. It's a hands-free subscription service that scrubs your personal info from hundreds of those data broker sites. They have been experts in their field for over 15 years now, and as a result, they keep everything in-house. No outsourcing to third-party advisors or tech. And unlike other services, they verify your data is on a broker site before removing it, so less time is wasted protecting your data. Delete Me has been used by people in all fields, from judges and election workers to grandmas and grandpas who aren't as familiar with their online landscape. Get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/LTT20 and use promo code LTT20 at checkout, or you can use the QR code on the screen.
If you guys enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy the last time that I sort of begrudgingly accepted that something NVIDIA made was good. When we tried out GeForce Now recently. It's gotten a lot better.